So good morning, everyone. I am with Ellis Stafford of the Detroit, Deputy Director of the Detroit Crime Commission. And I always say this is a tough topic. We're going to talk about human trafficking in a moment. It's a tough topic, but probably one of the most important topics that I can bring to this platform. And so I'm perfectly happy to do it if that is the right adjective. Probably the better adjective is I'm happy to do it to be able to educate. But first, I want to welcome you and say the Detroit Crime Commission. I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. But the Detroit Crime Commission was created to identify gaps in services delivery by public safety organizations in the region and assist in developing solutions and partnerships intended to make communities safer. Um, Alice, you have a long, lustrous career from the state in the police force. Tell us a little bit about your background. I've gotten to know you not in front of cameras, and I've learned a lot. And anyone who gets to know you, it's really I've learned a lot over the last couple years. So I really I consider you a friend, but I also you're really the things that you know. I consider it an education you've given me. So thank you for that um, because
Well,
it's important. So I'm hoping today we can bring some of that to light. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
let me first off say thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure knowing you and working with you. Me, I'm pretty boring. At least I think so, because it's me. Uh, I got out of the
I
Marine
don't think
Corps.
so.
I was recruited out of the Marine Corps into the state police, and for 25 years, most of my time with MSP was spent in the Criminal Investigation Division. And you said something earlier about educating the public and our citizens. Uh, MSP is the investigative arm for the state of Michigan. Some states might have GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, but MSP does both. And the hat I wore for the majority of my time was in the Criminal Investigation Division down here in Southeast Michigan. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad people around the country and in Southeast Michigan, and we had to ferret them out and bring a lot of them to justice, including some that were uh, in human trafficking. In fact, under my command was the detective sergeant who was a TOT, in other words, loaned out to the FBI for the human trafficking task force. Had some huge cases. Not only did I learn how bad and the gravity of it, uh, I took it as an opportunity to share with other folks how bad it is, because we tend to think of human trafficking normally on the sexual side of it. Uh, I find that folks are got this salacious streak in them, and that kind of wow, it looks sex, whatever. But there's a labor trafficking portion too, whether
Right.
it's nannies, whether it's agriculture and migrant workers, or it could be hotel workers at some of our popular resorts up north, where the workers there, you ask them for their visa and they don't have it. Somebody else is holding on to it. Somebody else is collecting their paycheck and paying them. So there are different forms of human trafficking that CID opened my eyes to, and now I'm trying to open other folks' eyes to it, because basically it's slavery. It's modern day slavery. And if your stomach turns over and you're appalled by the thought of somebody being enslaved, well, guess what? You can still be appalled. It's good to be appalled. And then pick up the phone and call somebody to do something about it. And if you don't know who to call, you can always call the Detroit Crime Commission, because we'll tell it all. I have no problem in telling anything.
So, and I think that's important to bring out that, and we'll talk about human trafficking in one moment because I want to spend a good portion of time on that. But the labor trafficking that we don't necessarily talk as much about is really important when we see people um, working. Um, the nannies that are or in the hotel industry. There's a way to do it, there's a way not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
how do
And
you go about making sure that things are what are signs? What are the warning signs or the signs there? Because for the most part, what you know is that the person working, chances are their story is that they want to work because they're taking in money and they want to send it back, or they're trying to care for
Right.
someone maybe back somewhere else. And
And
so
that,
they're just almost thankful to have a job. Wrong attitude from,
yeah. And that's fine. I mean, it's perfectly fine to want to help your family back home because we all know the U.S. dollars carry a lot of weight in some of these countries. That's fine. That's admirable. I have no problem. No one has any problem with that. The problem comes in is when you're giving 8 hours worth of, or 12 hours worth of effort for 4 hours worth of pay,
Mhm.
or 1 hour worth of pay, or in some cases, no hours worth of pay. You're taking care. You're being a live-in nanny, and you're not getting paid anything. Or you're forced to come back every day, you're not getting paid anything. Or in the case of some of these nice hotels up north, you're working 8, 12 hours a day, but the person that's holding on to your visa, because one of the things that uh, Homeland Security investigations taught me, if you are here on a work visa, you are to surrender, especially to Homeland and Border Patrol, surrender your visa upon demand. They ask for it. You don't have it. Strike number one. You're supposed to always keep that visa with you. If you don't have it, who does? Why are they holding on to your visa? And what are they paying you? You're getting paid 10. I'll make the math easy because I went to public school and I wasn't that smart anyway. Uh, you're making $10 an hour, but the person that's holding on to your visa is taking eight of it, $8 from you. So you're making $2 an hour when you're supposed to be making eight. I mean, supposed to be making 10. I know that's oversimplification. That's because I'm a simple-minded man, but I think you get the point. The point is you're being taken advantage of, whether it's for all your money, some of your money, or any point in between. You're still being taken advantage of, and it's still part of human trafficking.
It's really important. How does the Detroit Crime Commission work? Because I one of the things I want to bring out, and one of the reasons it's important to bring out, because we're gonna talk about an important event at the end of this week. You're a nonprofit. I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
that when people hear Detroit Crime Commission, it's really, I always say it's a nonprofit, and people hear Detroit Crime Commission, and
Yeah.
the name of the organization doesn't scream nonprofit. From a marketing standpoint, so I'm, as a marketer, really quick to go nonprofit, nonprofit, because you are a nonprofit. And how does your organization call out or work with then, the law enforcement let's stick with the labor for a minute, a hotel industry up north who might be, labor trafficking?
Well, let's start with the name in the marketing. You're right. I was not a big fan of our name, but then again, I'm not a creative guy, so we need to do a
We
better
can work
job.
on that later.
We can work on that one later. But if you have employees up there, because not all of your employees are going to be victims. Some people will be there working legally. Some folks working there will just have a flat out have a moral compass. They will
Mhm.
see what they're doing is what's being done to their fellow coworker is wrong. And when that person with that moral compass uh, realizes it is pointing north and bending toward the arc of justice, give us a call. Because often, without a reasonable suspicion and probable cause, criminal predicate, law enforcement won't get involved. They have a number of other things they can do, especially in this time of pandemic, just
Yeah.
having enough people to respond to calls for service. So if that person with that moral compass, if there's an employee that suspects, give us a call, because right now in Michigan, it's still going on.
Yeah.
We're confined to houses or limited to
Right.
places, but again, there are folks who see things, and I would say when you see things, believe your eyes. How
Mhm.
many times have we seen somebody run a red light and say, "I can't believe that happened"? You just saw it happen.
Right.
It happened.
I
You
think
just
that's a I think that's the perfect time for us to take that switch where we're going to go right now, because you and I have been together a lot lately talking about human trafficking and working. This month in January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Mhm.
It's when I work a lot with the Detroit Crime Commission, but human trafficking is 365 days of the year. It's 24/7. COVID has stopped everything. It's really shut down the world. It just has not shut down human trafficking, and that is really become sort of the theme of this Sunday's fundraiser, which the Detroit Crime Commission is putting on. It will be a virtual event this Sunday at 4 p.m. It's the second annual Sound the Siren event.
Yeah, yeah,
I had the wonderful opportunity to participate last year where we were all face to face.
yeah.
And it was a great time. And, the committee is an amazing group of people. The sponsors, who nobody could do anything without sponsorship, and the people who come out to sponsor this, thank God they do. And I know you have that same sentiment.
Yes.
Um, this year, like so many things, this event has to be virtual. I myself am nervous right now because I have a little bit to do with the event. I have a little bit to do with the event on
A lot of
Sunday.
bit. A lot of bit.
um, the event on Sunday is all virtual. It is all on video. Um, I'm in the midst of editing today. Thank God for who I call my work husband, Pat, who I adore, and we are in the midst of editing. But I'll just set it up that the Detroit Crime Commission, we are spoke with some survivors, a former pimp, someone who is he owns clubs now. He's quite the character. Um, a lieutenant in the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. We got to have you on tape. And of course, the chair people of the event. And um, our MCs for the evening are Simon Shaiket of Channel 7, WXYZ, and Veronica Meadows of Fox 2, Detroit. And it's all coming together, I swear. I know the Detroit Crime Commission is like waiting to see it, but it is coming together. I promise. You will see it before before Sunday. Um, but I think that the chair people really came up with an important message that we need to talk about. And that is really that COVID stopped everything, but it didn't stop this heinous, uh,
This
and
perversion. I would say it didn't stop this perversion.
it,
Uh, right
human
adjective.
trafficking. There is just nothing to me more vile. It, to it's disgusting. I don't, and I think what I want to bring out from you today, the most important thing about human trafficking is that human trafficking exists. And the thing that I've learned is that it it can start very young. It can start with children who are come from abusive homes. And we know that. But I think one of the things that I think is most important is in this day and age is the warning signs for our children who are sitting at home on Zoom, on their phones, you know, how they so easily can be entrapped. And I think that's the part I put my mom hat on right now that I think is important for you to speak to.
Well, a couple of things. You're right. Human trafficking does go on 365 days a year, 366 if you're in a leap year. It's one of the oldest sins in the Bible. As long as you have people who have uh, pleasures that range from subtle to gross that they want to get satiated, we're going to have this problem. And also, it gives us an opportunity as a crime commission. Again, like I said, that you heard that word before: educate, educate, educate. Yes, some victims come from abusive homes. Some victims come from overseas. A number of victims come from your neighbors next door that are not the abuse is not readily seen, or maybe little to no abuse at all. Uh, Somehow they just got caught up with the wrong person. Uh, some processes are grooming processes, and I think you said something very important about the phone and the computer and watching who you're trying to get involved in your children's lives as to who they're talking to, who they're communicating to, who is this person, who are these persons, where is my son or daughter going that they didn't tell me that they were going. They told me they were going one place and they're going another, and it was with this new friend, this new person. It's not it doesn't necessarily have to be an instant process. It could be a grooming process where I'm slowly grooming you. And there's some things, some definite steps that has to be taken in order for me to actually, I got to cleave off your relationship with your parents or anybody else that love you and make you depend on me. And then from that point, get you to doing things you would not otherwise do with the belief that you're pleasing me. Or we can just go the old fashioned way by force, coercion, or fraud. Um, it could be something as simple as that I have a video of you that you sent. Guess what? If you don't do this, I'm gonna post this on TikTok. It's gonna be on
I th-
Instagram.
and I think that's what kids do not realize, that there's everything they put out there is now out there. And I don't know how many times as parents, as friends of parents, that we can say that. Um, it, how many different ways we can say it for them to hear us and understand it.
Well, somebody once told me the best lesson is the lesson you buy, or what they say, a bought lesson. And unfortunately, and it's sad, we want to save our kids. We want to save all young people from the hurt and harm that can come through human trafficking or being associated with it or being just flat out turned out. We want to save them from that. Uh, and that process of trying to save them, you may not be the friend. You may be forced to be the parent you don't want. You don't want to be being nosy, getting in their business, walking into the rooms, looking at the screen, who you're talking to. Uh, your son or daughter mad at you. Mom, Dad, what are you doing? You know what I'm doing? I'm protecting the most important investment I got on this planet. And that's the person that came from me that I love. And if I can't do that, or if I've done that, let me save somebody else's child. Let me educate another parent to save somebody, give them a tip or two to save their own child, or maybe the neighbor's child. Hey, ask your neighbor, hey, I seen your daughter leaving out last night about 1 a.m. when I was coming home. Uh, you did? Save something. You may be able to save somebody else. But like you
I've
said
been
earlier,
I've been in that position where I have said something. It is uncomfortable.
it is uncomfortable.
It's horrible,
Mhm.
and you have to do the dance
Yeah,
sometimes, or sometimes you have to say it to the friend who can say it.
yeah.
Um, but you know what? The other part of that is I don't care. The other part is I don't care, because you can decide not to talk to me. You can decide to take me off your friend list. But if I just saved your kid, or if I just said it to a friend who's going to save your kid, you decide if you want to talk to me or not.
And at the end of the day, you have nobody to account for but yourself and your actions. Nobody on this planet, last time I checked, is fit to judge anybody. But when it does come time to be judged, I want to be able to say, I tried. I
Yeah,
did something. I said something. Instead, I didn't say nothing and something bad happens, and you will always forever uh,
yeah.
be in some sort
I
of pain that I'm
One of the
getting.
things, eh, and it's always hard when you do these videos, which people will see on Sunday, to get everything in. I sometimes wish we could show the whole entire rough cut, but one of the survivors made a point of saying, "Who cares if you call the police?" So they go out, they do their job, they investigate, they look. And if there's something, then you did the right thing. If there's nothing, then they went out.
And you still
They
did the
aren't
right
going to
thing.
be a, it's,
Mhm.
and so, um, but I think that, there's things I've learned along the way in just having conversations with you. And it's sometimes just having your eyes open to, have you been on an elevator and someone's dressed
Yeah.
inappropriately? Um, and we have in Detroit, not now, but it's always something to keep in mind. We have large scale events.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. World class events here and around Southeast Michigan. And I just a real quick story. I remember when the Super Bowl came here, uh, and one team was staying at the hotel down in Dearborn, another team was staying up north somewhere. But I was at the command center and happened to go by the hotel in Dearborn, and I remember standing up over the balcony overlooking the lobby. Now, anyone who's been who knows anything about sports knows the Super Bowl is, for us in Michigan, it's our wintertime and it's cold. So if there's a Super Bowl here in Michigan, it's wintertime and it's cold. And it was wintertime and it was cold.
Hmm.
I'm overlooking the lobby and I see a young lady come in wearing loosely called a three-piece, two shoes and a dress. She didn't have a purse, no coat, no nothing. She walked straight through the lobby. Her head was down, uh, jumped on the elevator. She disappeared. Looking back on it, that was an example, or even how a trained investigator command officer can look at something and not believe their own eyes. This didn't make sense. Why
Right.
are you here dressed like this in February with no coat, no purse, no nothing, just two shoes and a dress? It made no sense. And if I could go back in time, I probably, if I wasn't a couple pounds overweight, I would have loved to run down, catch her, get on an elevator and ask, just strike up a conversation. Hey, how
Hmm.
you doing? Where you going? What brings you here? Uh, I look back on my career, maybe that was an opportunity I could have did something different.
Hmm.
We'll never know, but I know better now.
So I think one of the things that we're going to really try and do with this video is tell some stories of what happened to some people and try and bring out some warning signs. I think always one of the things that we're trying to do is, protect our own kids, um, protect our kids' friends, you know. But the internet has become, a blessing and a curse. Um, and, when you're talking with parents about this, what are some of the things, particular, that parents should look for on the internet? Or, are there particular sites that kids go to, or is it?
Sadly, the internet is designed, and I think it was by design, to draw folks down rabbit holes. We see it all the time. You click on one thing and something similar comes up and you go a little further. You click on another thing, something similar comes up and you go a little further.
Hmm.
It is designed. In fact, I remember in a movie about the creator of Facebook that one of the goals was to keep you online as long as possible.
Right. Well,
Exactly.
it's
So
still the goal.
it's still the goal.
It's still the goal. And I almost gave you a trick question, because we're getting old every day, and the problem is that new apps come out every day. And
Every day.
you
It's,
know um
it's
we
like
almost have the double-edged sword is, we almost have to ask our kids, well, what do you want today? And we don't necessarily know how all those apps work.
no, 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 you don't. And we can't be, like you said, our when we were growing up, we didn't have this many apps. They look at Facebook as something old. Now I guess
Yeah.
it's coming back. I don't know. But again, it doesn't hurt to just look over their shoulder.
Yeah.
You pay for that phone. Unless your child's paying for their own phone, you're paying for it. Well, I get to see it because it's my phone.
So,
You live in my house. I get to know what you're doing because you live in my house. Does that make us friends?
okay,
No.
so my three adult children don't live in my house, and I
Okay,
still
you got a
use
problem
that.
then.
No, I still use that, and it's interesting, Ellis, because I'll bring this up, and they watch and they don't watch me, but On my phone, my three kids live in major big cities. And on their phone, you can track your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a tracker on my kids, and I barely remember that it's on there. And when I remember, it's because one might be on the highway driving from here back home, or late at night. I know they're out. Um, it is not to track and hover over my kids. It is because one might be leaving work very late and getting on a subway,
Right.
and I just it's that peace of mind. And I often say, I brought you in this world. I pay for part of your world. I'll take you out too. But I think interest, and I say that jokingly, and I do have, good communication with my kids, although I say this, never kid yourself either, you know. But it was interesting, and this comes up in the videos this week, in talking with the former pimp. He is a father of a 14-year-old.
There you
And he and I had this conversation. And whether parents want to hear him say this, so I'll just talk about it now. He is a father of a 14-year-old. And I said to him, well, you sure don't want your daughter, I'm sure, walking the streets. I gotta believe that's not something you want for her. And he's like, hell no. And I said, so what do you do? And he's like, I look over her shoulder. I ask her mother where she's going. I check her phone. And I said, well, spoken like a real dad. And he's like, that's right. And, all the things that he knows. And one of the best sort of messages he gave is, and I think this is important. He said, parents, don't be naive. And
go. Mm-hmm.
don't have your kids be naive. Actually talk to them about human trafficking. And I think that, we talked about this with this event. What was the appropriate age for families to watch this weekend? And again, it's Sunday at 4 p.m. And we have said 14 years and up. And there's some language in it. There's some hard things to hear. I mean, I'm 55, and there were some hard things for me to hear. Um, but the truth is, from this particular gentleman who was out there, if you don't tell your kids, then they don't know. And if, one of the survivors we talked to, she said, I thought I was living in a bubble where bad things didn't happen.
Well, that advice reminds me of something my mother said. If you know better, you do better. So if your kids know better, we hope that we have better outcomes and that they do better. But I know the gentleman you're talking about. Yeah, he's exactly right. There's an old saying we have on the street, and I've said a few old sayings here on this Facebook. Uh, One of which ain't nothing new to the game. The game don't change. The players change, but the game doesn't change. Now, technology has altered a little bit of the way that the game is played, but it ain't really changed. You use tracker on your kids for their safety for the right reasons. Your 14-year-old, 15-year-old living in my house, yeah, I'm tracking you because I want to know where you at. Now, keep this in mind: that tracker tell you where the phone is.
Right.
You just hope that there's a human body associated with
Right.
that phone.
100%.
100%. So keep that in mind. Looking over their shoulder, when another old saying, if you pay the cost to be the boss. If you want to have your own, well, you know what? The world is free. It's free for you to go out there and get in it.
Right.
Nothing else free. If you
Well,
want
I used that on my 23-year-old when he didn't want me to track him.
to, well, you know
I
what?
was
Give me
like,
my phone back
who's
and you go
paying
get
for a part
yours.
of your life?
You go
But
get your own. Like I said, do
you can
those
only
things
can you can only, we're talking about control. You can only control so much.
so much. So much. My daughter's 26 and the other one's 22.
I
Uh,
mean, the truth of the matter is, I think that the conversation with your kids today is about, you don't want them to be naive. You want them to be, know what's going around in their surroundings. I say as a parent, you want them to have trust, but you want them to be careful of the trust
You know,
that they're having.
I have so many sayings, and every time you keep talking, I keep remembering one. Somebody told me we're talking about human trafficking, or getting in the process of getting turned out, and they said if you sitting at a table and everybody eating except for you, you the meal. You the meal. So you need to know what's going on. So when
Right.
folks try to do certain things to you,
Yes.
you understand. Well, wait a minute, hold on. I don't like where this is going because I recognize this path of this uh, orientation. I know where this is going. I don't want to be there. Let me go back home. Let me go back with my other friends because this new friend, I don't like where they're leading me.
Yeah.
I don't like the people that they take me around. I don't like the way how that person gets mad every time I tell my mother I'm going out or my father I'm leaving the house. Or
Right.
why you have to tell them. Uh, that's not because if it's a real friend, they want the best for you, and they're going to tell you when you're wrong if
Mhm.
it's a real friend, and they're not going to try to keep you from your separate you from your mother, father,
And I
grandmother.
and I think that's we have to go. So I think that one of the keys I have learned is what you just brought out, the separation aspect. If
Yeah,
you have friends trying to separate you, then or you notice that your kids are being separated from their old friends or coming home with new gifts or new sparkly things or showing a lot of different types of behavior, it's really time to have a conversation or really hone in on what's going on with them.
exactly. That conversation's not easy,
It's
but being a parent ain't easy either.
we our kids did not come, I say, with manuals, and we didn't
Hmm.
either. And it's not easy, but it's probably the most challenging and the most important message, conversation to have. um there's more and lots more, but on please go to detroitcrimecommission.org. There's a lot of great information there. um it's the old saying, see something, say something. you know don't keep it to yourself. The sound the siren is happening January 31st at 4 p.m. There are plenty of tickets, sponsorships. We want you to be involved. Please buy tickets. There's an amazing auction, all great ways to help the Detroit Crime Commission. Please go to the DetroitCrimeCommission.org. If you go there, you can learn all about the Detroit Crime Commission. Under the events tab, you can see the sound, the siren, how to get tickets. It's one of the easiest ways. Um, and do it today. Sunday, you can sit in your home, nice and warm, watch and learn from these amazing survivors. Um, the auction actually is going to open today.
Yeah,
So you have all week
yeah.
to buy and bid on amazing items. So um,
And
really,
everything goes toward the software that we use to harvest information that lead us to human trafficking organizations. Um, everything from the formally trained intelligence analysts to MIT developed software that actually goes out on the net and does what software does. Uh, Grabs public facing stuff and our analyst does their analyst stuff. And if it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, and walks like a duck, we give that duck to the appropriate law enforcement agency so that they can follow up on. That's where your dollars go. We make the perfect symbiont partner for law enforcement as we're not bound by those laws and rules that govern the looking at public facing information. We can do it. And if we see it, like I said, you tell us, we'll tell it. That's what we do.
and I love that. And there's a great piece inside this event on the 31st that really
Oh,
talks about everything the Detroit Crime Commission does. So you get to
I
see
can't
more
wait to
about
see
us.
it.
Yes, you will see it. I promise. You will see
especially,
it. I know.
especially, the,
I know
especially the man.
your partners in crime at the Detroit Crime Commission are waiting eagerly. So I'm going to say goodbye so I
Okay.
can go edit.
Thank you again. I have no doubt it will be a excellent video. You did an excellent job last year. I am sure you will surpass all our expectations, even in a pandemic.
I hope so. This has become one of those nonprofits that's become sort of my mission, passion. The more I can talk about it
And we thank
personally
you.
and
We thank
get out there, I hope we're making a difference every day.
thank
So
you. We
thank
appreciate
you. Thank you
it. Thank
for
you.
all
Thank
that
you for
you do.
having me.
I'll
Take care.
see you this week, or
You
I'll talk
got it.
to you this week. I
I'm
should
sure you will.
say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Till then.
Bye.
Bye bye.